Oh my God.
Immediately out of the gate.
Off to a good start here.
Hey everyone.
Hello everyone.
What's up?
Oh my God, it feels so weird.
To stream again?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how I felt the other day.
Yeah, my mic was hot last time.
Yeah. I'm keeping my eye on it to make sure you're not too much in the red. The man just shouts.
But I mean, the people want to hear it.
The people want to be screamed at.
This velvet chocolate, I call my voice.
Velvet chocolate?
Welcome back to the stream, everyone. I'm very happy to be here myself.
I thought you were going to say, I'm John.
I am also John.
I'm Kendra. Hi.
Sorry we've been away from this particular format for quite a long time.
Yeah, we went on a little hiatus for a little bit from streaming, but...
Yeah, I mean, we said we would, not completely pause like we did a few weeks back, but, it was a big slowdown for us, certainly. But we have a lot to talk about because we've been away for so long.
Yeah.
So what have we been up to? We took a couple of trips to Disney World. That was fun.
Yeah, we're pass holders.
Oof, they just let that linger for a second.
I'm going to let that linger so you get the idea of what a childless couple of pass holders is like. That's us. Sorry, I apologize. But we rarely, because we live so close, we rarely do actual Disney vacations. We usually just go for a few hours in the day and then come home. Yeah. But we had a lot to celebrate one particular weekend. So we went and we stayed for 3 days up there, and it was really, really nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. We went to a couple of the parks. We had a day where we just kind of explored the Disney Springs area and had a hell of a good time. We also went to Disney last weekend.
Yeah.
It was just a day trip, just a couple hours. Yeah. But you know what I appreciate about us as Disney adults? Mm-hmm. We're not annoying Disney adults.
Yeah. I broke the news to my coworkers this week that I was indeed a Disney adult. They were shocked and horrified. No, they were fine about it. But one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, I know this lady who fanatic Disney adult collects a lot of stuff," and I'm like, "I'm not there yet." And I mean, there's nothing wrong with collecting stuff, but you know those people at Disney who are just they're very much there and they think that Disney's for them, but it's Disney's for children. It always has been. It always will be. And if you're getting in the way of a child's happiness at Walt Disney World because you think you're entitled to be there because you paid money.
Yeah, so it is buck wild. During one of our trips, it might have been our vacation, when we went to Animal Kingdom, and there was this group of fucking 50-year-olds, and I'm not exaggerating, just calling someone, I'm not saying they're old, but they were too damn old to be behaving the way they were. Yeah. So they're dwindling down on social distancing and mask wearing for certain areas of the park. So if you're in an outside line, they don't have social distancing markers, or they don't require you to wear a mask while outside of the queue in the outside portion of the line. Right. This fucking family, they were right on top of my ass the entire time. I don't even think they were a family. It was legitimately, I think maybe 10. It was a group of friends. Well, yeah, adult friends. They were, and again, when we say 50, we're not oh my gosh, he's so old, he's 50. No, they were around 40, 50 years old. Yeah. And it was just them, no children, nothing. And again, if you're adults, that's fine. Enjoy your time there. But they were just kind of obnoxious behind me anyway. And at one point they were talking about Marvel movies, and I was like, please shut up, because y'all don't know what y'all are talking about. But anyway,
separate issue. That's more of our issue.
Yeah, that was more of a me thing. So we finally get to the actual queue of the line, and because we were going to see one of the shows at Animal Kingdom, and part of it's on Disney because the way they have the line set up for this particular queue was not very well thought out. Yeah, no. This group of people, and I'm not exaggerating, they just proceeded to skip half the line in our section. I think they cut in front of maybe 4 parties. One was us, and then 2 of them had children, young children in their group. Under 10 years old. Yeah, and they went in front of them under the guise of being under the shade because it was hot as hell and sunny. So they walked up just we're going to stand under the shade. Yeah. And I let them through because I thought they were just going to go for the shade, and then once we all walked in, they were going to be, respectful, decent people and let everyone who was in front of them in line go in front of them. And again, this is a line that we've been waiting in for 30 minutes in the heat. Yeah. The people in front of them were waiting longer than them. Yeah. So I just figured they would do the decent thing and rejoin the line where they
came from once we started going in. And they did not. They cut in front of 4 groups of people, including children, so they could have a better seat inside this theater, of which there was really no bad seat.
Yeah, because it was the show they were doing. It was the Lion King show that they do at Animal Kingdom. It was great. Shout out to my friend Crystal. I mean, I was kind of being petty, and I was like yelling. I was like, I guess y'all just gonna skip people.
And I was like, shut up.
This ain't. Hey, wait.
Hey, wait. Hey. And then when we were inside,
we got seated right behind them.
We were in the row behind them, so skipping really didn't matter. And then one of them had their flash on while they were taking a video, and they got yelled at for that. Yeah. One of them had their mask off at one point.
Yeah,
right?
And I think it might have been the same woman the entire time.
Yeah.
Because one of the women there, I remember at one point when the show was over. Mind you, it's not a long show to begin with. It's even shorter because of the social distancing protocols they added in the show. There's like an entire segment that was taken out. So the show is like, it's under 30 minutes. Yeah. It's very, very short. It's very entertaining, but it's very short. And they have very clear rules, like don't everyone get out at the same time.
Yeah, they had to restrict the flow of they're doing it by section.
Yeah.
And if you're not the ones leaving, they ask that you stay seated.
Yeah. And this woman just standing up, and they're like, I'm sorry, can you please sit? And she was like throwing a fit. She was like, well, my back hurts. I can't sit for too long.
Then don't sit in a seat for a show.
Yeah.
If it's that much of an issue that you have to like go against what a cast member is telling you directly.
Yeah. Her husband, her dad, all those fucking people there. All bitches. I hated
any of them were related. I think they were just a big group of friends.
They were a big group of bitches.
If that was you, if you went to Disney World and you saw Lion King and you skipped in front of 4 groups, including like 3 small children, fuck you. You're kind of horrible.
Yeah, it was annoying.
We're not that Disney adult.
Yeah, we're not that kind of Disney adult. We're also not the kind of Disney adult that was sitting behind us. This one's a little more innocent, so I could personally give it a pass. There was just this guy having the most grand time at this Lion King show.
He's turned it into a sing-along.
Yeah, it's not
part of it. I'm like, shut up. But again, it's like that person was just having a good time. I'm not going to be shitty to someone who's just there to have a good time.
Yeah, they were genuinely enjoying their time. They weren't just like, oh, it's a way to beat the heat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah,
that was a whole tangent. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But the last time when we went to Disney last weekend, this little girl was afraid of the turnstile into one of the shows. And I said, it's okay. You just keep going. You just push it. And then she did. Oh my gosh. I felt so parental.
I know.
It's crazy. My maternal instincts kicked in. That's actually, you know what? That's kind of troubling. If my like greatest maternal instinct is like,
just push it.
I don't know. Just keep going.
Right.
But no, that was really sweet. And just now that you don't have to wear a mask everywhere, it's optional in most indoor places. And outside it's completely optional.
Yeah.
So getting to see children like smiling and like running around and having a good time for the first time.
Characters, yeah.
Yeah, they get to see characters, they get to go to shows, all that stuff. Seeing that for the first time in a very long time was like, oh.
And the last time we went, we'll move on from the Disney World talk.
Yeah, because we didn't even plan to talk about that.
We also saw one of my favorite things to do at the Magic Kingdom. We saw the Dapper Dans.
They were in the train station on Main Street.
Yeah, and they have a barbershop quartet that comes and they sing a variety of tunes. My favorite thing, I love barbershop quartets. I love music just in general, so I prefer to go see a lot of these live performances over there. And I got real excited because I kind of got a little shout out. It wasn't really like a shout out, but
he knew one of the songs they were singing, and he was probably the only one.
I think I was.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because it's Light a Rose. They sang Light a Rose from The Music Man. And I get that that's an old show, but I don't know.
John was part of the quartet in Music Man in college. So he also got to sing that song. Yeah. And it's a beautiful song. So he has a special connection to
But while we were at Disney on our vacation, I jokingly...
Okay, this is what we're starting out with. Okay.
I jokingly put on Friday Night SmackDown, WWE Friday Night SmackDown, because we don't have cable at home. So, sometimes when we're at a hotel, I'll just throw on TV to see what's on. There's something nice about not having to like flip through a bunch of different like shows and options and movies.
We had a very limited supply of things we could watch.
So I put on Friday Night SmackDown thinking that surely Kendra is going to ask me to change it. Ladies and gentlemen.
So something happened. So it's not like you've been trying to get me to watch it for years.
Yeah.
You watched wrestling as a kid. I did not. And I feel like a lot of people getting into wrestling is when they're kids.
Yeah.
So I was just like, and I never had
Yeah.
like much of an interest in it. And it's not like you watched it every week or whatever. Probably mostly because we don't have cable.
Yeah.
But most of the time when he puts on something in a hotel room, it's like, I don't know, just annoying crap I don't like. Sorry.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Sorry about it. That's the truth. So I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be more annoying crap I don't like. And then I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, it reminded me of GTA RP. It reminded me of role-playing games because that's essentially what it is. And so I kind of, from there, became very obsessed with wrestling, and now I watch it every week.
Yeah.
We watched Hell in a Cell earlier this month. It was this month's pay-per-view. I'm going to watch Money in the Bank next month. I am fully invested in wrestling, and I don't know how it happened, but it's so fun. I showed my brother, who also secretly loves wrestling now, and he was like, it seems like reality TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a parody of reality TV. It's
So
a
I think-
parody of like what people thought it was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's become so like, I don't know, it's like a soap opera, but now especially, I feel like in the last maybe like 10 years, just the diversity of the people in it also was like really added to. Because like when I think of wrestling in my head, I'm thinking about like 80s and 90s, like hideous haircuts, all buff, like roided out old white guys fighting and pretending that it's real, and everyone in the audience being fooled into thinking that it's real.
Yeah.
And it's not that at all anymore.
No. And I mean, and to be fair, even then, I don't think people were, once the storylines got a little more like storylines, I don't think anyone was thinking like, oh, this is actually like.
Yeah. That guy got buried alive for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But I think that first episode of SmackDown that you and I watched together, there was a moment where Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio were just talking in the ring, and all of a sudden Rey Mysterio gets this like kendo stick and just starts beating the shit out of Roman Reigns with it.
Yeah. I think that's my favorite part. It's just like, it's all such good theater. Everyone's part of it. It's not just the actors who are wrestling. It's the commentators who know the script and know how to like react to make it more shocking or more fun. And it's also the cameramen who like purposefully like don't show this half because someone's getting ready to do something fucking crazy that you'd never expect. The fact that people just show up in the middle of fights is the most hilarious thing.
Or like the guy who was watching his buddy from backstage, and all of a sudden that even bigger guy just came and beat the shit out of him.
Beat the shit out of him. It's so good. It's so funny.
Yeah. So when we were watching it, I was kind of used to this because, again, I watched wrestling for a very, very long time. So I've seen a lot of this.
I had never seen any wrestling, like ever.
When you watch it for long enough, you're like, I mean, there's still some crazy shit that happens.
Right, but it's not like...
You buy into it. You're not just like, wait, what the fuck? What the fuck just happened?
Yeah. But yeah, seeing that for the first time and jumping into literally like the middle of a random SmackDown episode in like the middle of the season, I had no context to any of it, so shit was just happening and I'm like, oh my god,
but goddamn is it fun.
So I went back and I watched.
Wrestling's fake. Wrestling's not fake.
I think I watched all of Raw.
We got a comment
I know
here.
it's fake, but that's why it's fun.
Yeah.
If it was real, it would be concerning because a lot of people...
They would all be
horrible.
clinically insane.
Yeah, one person possesses people now. I don't think that's supposed to be real.
Let it be known. We fully understand that WWE is fake. But you know what else is fake?
Every TV
Loki,
show,
Game of Thrones, The Good Place.
I think that's like
The Office.
my biggest misconception. Growing up, I always thought that wrestling, people who liked wrestling think it's real. That's what I thought my entire life. And then to see it and be like, oh, okay, like kids might think it's real. They're kids. They don't know any better. But everyone else is in on that joke.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just so fun.
It's a form of entertainment. That's all it is. And granted, they're showing some real athleticism, but it's just fun. We'll go back and watch some of like The Rock's old tangents. It's so fucking funny.
Hilarious.
So we'll tell you a little bit more about us in just a moment. wrestling is like a real life.
Exactly.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Because it's so like dramatic, like crazy dramatic. And then there's a shit ton of fighting.
Yeah, they come out and they do these dramatic monologues, these soliloquies in front of an audience.
They come
it's
out
theater.
and strike poses. Yeah. They have songs that play when they come out. There are fireworks. It's all theater. But it's like, I don't know. I didn't expect to love it so much.
It's been fun.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see now that they're bringing more wrestlers back.
Right, now that it's becoming more of what it was.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I mean, of course you're going to have those golden ages of everything. So, like, you don't top WWE Attitude Age when you had, like, Stone Cold and The Rock and Triple H and, you know, DX and WO. Like, that was a very special time. Just like before, back in the 80s, you had, like, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Heard of them.
But for right now, it's still a lot of fun, and we've just been having a good time watching it.
Yeah.
NXT, I'm interested in checking it out, especially because on, what was that? Was that Raw? Was it Raw we just watched?
I don't know.
Oh, it was Raw, because MVP got his ass kicked.
Oh, yeah.
But it fucking started with a battle royal.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, who the fuck are all these people?
I didn't know who half of these fucking people. I'd never seen them before in my life. I did try to watch NXT once, and because the format is so different, I struggled with that transition from like big Raw and SmackDown and all those things to like a more pared down NXT. It's a smaller stage. It's not as like crazy over the top.
Yeah.
But I do need to watch it because I mean everyone in it came from there.
Yeah.
Kind of.
The champ.
A lot
What's
of
her
big
name?
ones.
Bianca Belair. She was on NXT for a hot minute.
Exactly. And you can see like the evolution of these like characters and their moves and all that stuff through that. So I do understand NXT is very important and I do need to get watching it. Also, I've watched all of the like most recent Raws and SmackDown. So like I'm running out of shit to watch. But I will say my favorite wrestlers, and again, I have been in the wrestling game for
about a month.
Bianca Belair. I love her. I think she's my all-time favorite. I want a ponytail. I want to be her for Halloween. Mm-hmm. I love Bianca Belair. I love Drew McIntyre, even though, goddamn, the last 2 weeks he's been struggling.
He got a win.
I'm sorry if you haven't watched Raw. Never mind. Controversial opinion. I really like Roman Reigns because he's very attractive. And I like his whole shtick, his whole head of the table thing with his little dude, his little butler or whatever.
You think he's attractive?
Have you seen him? You think he's attractive.
All right, y'all. Thank you for checking out this stream. If you want, please follow us.
Have you looked at him with your eyes?
I mean, he's aight.
Yes.
Anyway.
Which one? The Usos?
We go, damn, tough.
Yeah, sorry. That's rough.
Right.
I apologize. But, I mean, I'm going to speak my truth. You know what's the craziest thing? They've been in the Tampa Bay area for like 3 months now. I haven't run into any of them, but I'm planning to. We need to be out and about more these next few weeks before they leave.
I know.
So we can run into one of them. We'd run into like fucking Riddle or something.
I'd be okay with that. Riddle seems cool as fuck.
Riddle seems cool as fuck. Oh, Riddle. In the beginning, I did not like Riddle, but he's growing on me, especially after this last Raw. Oh, little Riddle.
Yeah, he looks like a buddy of mine from college.
He does.
So, yeah, we've had a really good time. So who knows? Maybe we'll do more streams that are a little more exclusive.
Oh my God,
WWE.
I would love to do like a rundown of what the fuck is happening.
What's Raw this week?
Oh. Maybe not. Oh, that sounds nasty.
Lay the smack down.
We'll figure
names. Something out.
But that would be cool to do like a rundown, or even if it's like once a month just for the pay-per-views or something.
That'd be cool. Leading up to the pay-per-view. We're going to move on to a couple of our other topics. A nice segue. Moving from our Disney vacation, while we were out there, we went and saw a movie that we've been looking forward to for so very long. Mm-hmm. We checked out In the Heights. I love the lights and stars.
So John has a very, very personal connection to In the Heights.
I do have a very close tie to this particular property, stemming all the way back from when I was in high school. I was first introduced to the show. This show kind of showed me that like I can be genuinely Latin and still do musicals. It's not like as much as I love West Side Story, but like they're all gang members and shooting each other and fighting each other. So this show was like, it's like Our Fiddler on the Roof. So I was very excited when the movie was announced, and we'll acknowledge some of the other conversation, although there's been a lot said about discussions surrounding the movie that I don't know how much more we can add, but we'll touch on it just to acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. But speaking on it as just the movie as is, personally, I absolutely loved it. I knew I was gonna love it, but I was surprised at how well they adapted it for the screen. I think it's probably one of the best movie musicals that have been adapted from stage to screen, and they made it as like seamless as possible.
Without it being like 3.5 hours long.
Exactly. I mean, it was still fucking long.
It was still long, but not that long.
But yeah, it was just, oh man, it was such a beautiful movie.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it as a musical before it was announced that it was a movie. It was one of the things that we first bonded over, I think.
Yeah.
Not even that. It was like Hamilton and In the Heights.
Yeah.
Lynn in general.
Yeah. Thanks, Lynn.
Thanks, Lynn. Brought us together. But yeah, so I wasn't as invested in it. I'm always of the belief, and I think I kind of stated that when talking about like live action remakes. I would prefer if we got a different version of something that we've already seen. It's a little different with musicals, staged musicals, because not everyone has access to see those.
Right.
So like you said, it's important to have a good adaptation. So what you see when you go and see it in the theater, like on Broadway, not like in the movie theater, is similar to what you see on a screen.
Right.
And I think that it did achieve that.
Right.
I kind of preferred some of the changes that they made in the movie.
Yeah.
But also you had, the show is 12 years old, 13?
Debuted on Broadway
2008.
in 2008. Yeah, I mean,
God. Oh my God, I'm
like,
so old.
I know.
But yeah, so it made sense that a lot of things would need to be updated and changed. But yeah, the songs were still there. And that's one of the things where it's like, I'm okay if they change some of the music, because you can listen to it on Spotify, the original Broadway cast recording, if that's what you want to listen to.
Yeah.
This new version doesn't replace that. Instead, it's something different, which I like. But I also like how some parts of the movie were kind of like, what do I want to say, like fantastical, like a little whimsical.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a really cool addition, because if you take something like a New York City neighborhood, that can get gritty very quickly, even if you're singing and dancing and all that stuff. It can be darker. So I'm glad that they like made it light and I don't know, it just feels warm. You're watching it, and I think a lot of that is also Anthony Ramos.
Right.
He's warm and inviting. Like, you feel like you're in it.
Yeah. I was going to say, you pointed it out very well. The way they framed the movie, where Anthony Ramos' character, Usnavi, was telling it as a story. And when just the line, just the one line that says a place called Washington Heights and the streets were made of music, he said something like that. But just that one line allowed the movie that's otherwise really grounded in reality to be fantastical and have, you know, these really beautiful sequences of them dancing on the side of buildings or seeing fabrics thrown off the building, you know, just, or the little animations that would just pop up here and there. And it worked. Yeah. Because it wasn't over the top, but it was just enough to really make you feel like, oh, right, we're being told a story.
This is a story of
like
someone's
a fairy tale
memory of this. So, of course, it's going to be a little than it actually was.
And you're right. Anthony Ramos, oh my God, man, what a talent.
Yeah.
Like,
insane.
Yeah, and you're right. I think he just seems, just like as a human person, he just seems so, like, I think you said, like, inviting. Like, he just has this air about him that is so down to earth. And you couple that with the fact that the man is insanely talented. Like, you can't help but like this guy and just want to cheer for him the entire time. Yeah. So a few years ago, I think 6 years ago, I actually did this show in Orlando. And that's another reason why it holds like such a special place to me, is because that was the first time I'd ever even done a show with another person that had the same last name as me, let alone a group of other people who had similar skin tones, lighter, darker, hair as curly as mine, hair curlier than mine. Like, it was just such a crazy, like, this little show brought us all together, and this show has provided that for a lot of people. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. And I also I didn't mind most of the changes. The only change I think was maybe a little rough was the blackout number.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, but that's me. Let me specify. Nitpicky. That's me, like, being super nitpicky. Yeah. Like, if I watched it now, it wouldn't really bother me. But I'm just saying, if I had to, like, find one of the changes that was like, this is a little weird, that would be it. But it's not enough to throw off how much I enjoyed the movie. I mean, yeah, it feels like New York. I remember there was a dinner scene where I was like, the food looks fucking delicious. But also it was cool because I'm like, that's food I grew up eating. Like, like I recognize that my grandma used to make that food. My mom makes that food now. So like it's really cool, like seeing some of the most authentic representation. Now, I mean, granted, we'll get into it in just a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about how it wasn't entirely authentic, but like I said, speaking to it as a piece of art as it is now, I absolutely loved it. One of the highlights was the Abuela Claudia stuff.
As it always is.
It was the same way in the show, and Olga Merediz, who played the original Abuela Claudia on Broadway, she reprised her role for this.
You couldn't get anybody else. Yeah. I mean,
and poor Kendra, she had to just sit there while I'm in the theater.
Bawling.
Fucking sobbing. My eyes are getting a little watery just thinking about that scene because it was just heartbreaking, but it was beautiful. And just that's just the whole movie. Yeah. Granted, don't get me wrong, it has a happy ending, but like it's just like the journey this movie takes you on is just something beautiful. I couldn't help but even in the opening number just cry because I'm seeing all of these beautiful Latin faces. They're just beautiful. They were dancing and singing, and I'm like, oh my God, like. And
it's like something that you've enjoyed for so long, and you're like, now other people get to see it.
Yeah. That said, this movie did go through a little bit of a controversy, like with most things, like in most facets of entertainment. Racism, colorism, these are issues that aren't unique to the States. It happens in other countries. It happens in Latin America. It happens in Puerto Rico. It's unfortunate, and it's not right. So this movie kind of dropped the ball in terms of casting. There was just a very big absence of Afro-Latine talent within the main cast, and they're very few and far between in the ensemble of the movie, which is unfortunate because it's not entirely representative of Washington Heights. Now, granted, I'm not a resident of Washington Heights. I've never been a resident of Washington Heights. I live in Florida, but that's the main thing, is that they could have done better. And I think it's only fair that we hold all these studios accountable to respect that, to respect the people who are supporting these movies, who want these movies to continue to be made. But they also want to feel seen. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I certainly felt seen, but unfortunately, a dark-skinned Dominican person may not feel the same way.
Yeah. This has been an issue that is like, it's not I think that's what's most frustrating about it. You hear that there's going to be this property that is representing Latine people in 2020, but you think, oh, there's hope that maybe someone will look like me, maybe not like me, but there would be some dark skin representation, because that's a huge part of the Latine population
in general.
And the fact that it couldn't deliver that in 2021, I think that's what's most upsetting, especially because it's not like an isolated incident. This same group of people has been saying for decades, like, we're never shown. We're never represented. We're a race. People don't want to think of us as either Black or Latine. Yeah. We're one or the other and never both. It's like they can't win. Yeah. You're not represented on either front. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest disappointment, or I assume it is. Again, I'm not a member of that community. I can only like go off my own experiences. It's just like the chance was there. Yeah. That has been a criticism, I believe, of the show since the beginning, because in 2008, there was a Black person in the entire show. Yeah. Well, in the main cast, at least. Yeah. Not Latine at all. Yeah. Yeah, and so it's like, I don't know. It's just, I think it wasn't that it was like shocking. It was just that it was a missed opportunity to write or begin righting a wrong. Yeah. And to his credit, Lin did put out a statement, I think the weekend it came out, and was like, I hear you. I'm trying to do better. It's not all on him. He didn't make the movie completely alone. Sure, he has a great deal of power, but it shouldn't fall solely on his shoulders. But at the same time, that's not going to cut it anymore. Just putting it out and saying, oopsie, did a bad thing. You should have thought of that 10 years ago when it was brought up. Javier Munoz from the original Broadway cast, and he also worked on the movie as well. He kind of made a good point in specifying that, like,
a few people have made this point. I shouldn't just put it all on him. I think a lot of this stems from, yes, Lin could have played a bigger hand in the type of casting. Granted, again, he's not the casting director, he's not the director, but he was one of the executive producers, so I think he could have had a bigger hand. But again, it's not, like you said, it's not all on him. And also, whether we as a Latin community want to accept it or not, Lin isn't the end-all be-all of our representation. So I don't think it's a fair expectation to expect this one man who's lived one particular life in a particular state to be the shepherd of Latin representation. I think that the bigger issue is that we have so few people representing the Latin community on a creator standpoint doing big things in Hollywood on Broadway that it eventually, now the position we're in, we're like, oh, well,
it's up to you.
It's up to you to do everything right, or we're gonna fucking hate you. So I don't think that's a fair expectation either. If he is open and honest, and which I assume he is, if he's open and honest, he will take these criticisms seriously, and we'll see in his next few projects.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. If we see a genuine change going forward on the stuff that he is helping to create, well, then that's someone who has accountability and is working to change it.
Right.
And I think that's the big misconception. Everyone's trying to quote cancel Lin-Manuel Miranda. No, that's not it.
No.
We're just pointing out an issue.
Right.
And hoping that it changes something in the future.
Right.
But again, like you said, it's not fair. People of color individually are not monoliths of the entire culture. That's why I don't care if one of your friends who's black lets you say the N-word. It doesn't matter. That person does not speak for the entire community.
Right.
Lin is the same way. But like you said, when the only Latin anything anyone can name is Lin-Manuel Miranda,
that's
suddenly
the problem.
It's all on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. That is the issue. We need to have more voices.
Yeah.
Especially more Afro-Latina people who can show their own stories.
Yeah.
But it's not just something we can speak into existence. We have to support them. And
absolutely, we need more creators like Lin-Manuel and like Kiara, who did the screenplay for this movie. And I mean, I think it's not that I think they're ignoring it, but I think if they were to uplift those Afro-Latin voices more, I think then we can start seeing the shift. But we just need more artists to do that. And another thing is, I don't want to get on this we need to. Not that anyone's saying this, but, cancel In the Heights or don't support this movie. Because one, there's a lot of people who worked very hard on this movie. A lot of people of color who worked very hard on this movie. And also, it was a big budget movie, critically acclaimed, with an Asian American director. And, especially in these particular times, I am certainly not going to diminish the work of a high profile Asian American artist. So I don't know. It's a very mixed bag. But more than anything, yes, I think we need to continue to address these things as they happen. Going back to a little bit more of the performance side of things before we move on from In the Heights, I just want to shout out a couple of the folks in the movie. We need to see Corey Hawkins in more musicals. He played Benny.
Yeah. He was so good.
I didn't know he could sing.
I don't even know who he is.
I really only knew him from the movie Straight Outta Compton. He played Dr. Dre, and he was great in that. I didn't fucking know he can sing and dance. Yeah, he was one of the highlights of the movie for me.
I love Benny. Benny's my favorite character, I think, in the movie and in the show.
And I didn't mind what they did with his storyline.
No, me neither.
This was one that people were like, well, they took out that storyline pretending racism doesn't exist in the Latin community. I was like, no, I don't think that's why they took that out.
Don't you think it's a little played out, the whole dad doesn't approve of black boyfriend thing?
One, yes, there's that. And then two, it would have been a little weird seeing that the woman who played Nina herself is Afro-Latina.
Black, yeah.
So there's that. And also, three, it's not the community they set up.
Yeah.
It would be
they made it more pleasant than it was in the show.
In the show, it was only Kevin who had a stick up his ass about it. It was literally no one else. So even in the show, one could argue that that's not the show they set up. I don't get why people were really gung-ho about adding that storyline in. Love Jimmy Smits and everything.
Yes.
I love Min-Manuel.
Manuel.
Oh my God, this is evil alter ego. This is Eagle.
Oh my God, he needs some milk.
I personally really, really loved Melissa Barrera in there. She played Vanessa. I usually connect more with Nina when I see the show, but for whatever reason,
you said that the minute we left the theater.
I was like, oh my gosh, like Vanessa was so good.
Yeah.
The whole movie was just fantastic. I highly recommend it. If you can see it in a theater, I absolutely recommend you go support this movie.
I would recommend seeing it in a theater where the city has a very high Latina population.
Yes.
That'll make it real fun.
You can go back on our YouTube channel. I did a little fun reaction to a video of myself singing Piragua when I did the show 6 years ago. And I have a couple fun stories of that particular production, particularly a story about Carnaval. So if you so please. The video is less than, I think, 10 minutes, so check that out. That's kind of our bit on In the Heights. Would certainly recommend, if you don't feel comfortable going to a movie theater, if you're not vaccinated. It's on HBO Max right now. I think it's on HBO Max through July 11th.
It was definitely fun, entertaining. It's a little long.
Stay after the credits,
and pee before you get into the theater, because it is.
Bring some tissues. We're going to talk a little bit about Loki. So, yes, we have been watching the MCU's latest foray into a television series. We're 4 episodes in now. We won't give spoilers for the latest episode. Yeah, Loki.
Loki. I made a prediction at the I made a couple predictions, of which I was correct about. But I made a prediction before Loki even started, back when we just had teasers, and I was like, this is going to be the best of the series. Not only because it had more time, I feel like, I don't know, there's something about it, something with Loki, something with the concept of it. I'm like, okay, this is going to be good. This is going to be entertaining. And I was not incorrect. It's definitely, I think, my favorite. I think it combines a little bit of WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Right.
In which there's still mystery. There's still theorizing, which y'all know I love to theorize.
That's right.
That is still a big part of Loki. Less so than WandaVision, when we didn't know what the fuck was going on at any point. But way more than Falcon and Winter Soldier. But it still has combat. It's like not great combat, but it's combat nonetheless.
Yeah.
There's still action. And Loki's like one of my favorite characters in the MCU.
I agree. One, just the production value of the entire thing is amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think because Loki is such a popular character who has been there since the beginning, I think this was one that, if nothing else, this had to be like Marvel's, okay, we cannot mess this one up. Yeah. Not that I think they were like giving any leeway to mess up anything else.
Right, but it's like I think they spent more time and money on Loki than any of the other ones.
Certainly the opening episode was like, holy shit, like you could tell, like, oh wow, they went all in on Loki on this one.
That was one of the like strongest opening episodes of a TV show that I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, and I would have said the same thing about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier has the best first 10 minutes of a series with that Falcon chase scene. Yes. So they have the best with first 10 minutes of an episode.
Like flying squirrel suits.
Yeah, when he's flying through the canyon. I had
forgotten about that.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Yeah, just overall, it had such a strong opening episode. Because even the rest of Falcon and Winter Soldier, that first episode, it kind of like, it didn't like get bad or anything, but it's just like, we didn't see our characters together, and it was just like a lot of setup. Yeah. This one was more like, because they did the recap of Avengers Endgame where we saw Loki there, like we were able to just kind of hop right into it. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying what we're seeing so far. Because Tom Hiddleston's played the character for so long, I love that he's on as an executive producer.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, he's on it as an EP, and it makes sense because I feel like now he can really have a lot more input for what he does as Loki. And I'm just really, really enjoying what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, it's nice to see in the first episode and a half, I would say, he was like back to being shitty 2012 Loki or whatever. But then he was humbled like very quickly. So it's nice to see both sides of him. He's not like end of Ragnarok, beginning of Infinity War, like docile Loki. But he's not like fully batshit crazy Thor 1 and 2 Loki. So I didn't watch the second one. I made you think that I did. I didn't. That was a lie. But yeah, so it's nice to see like that duality again still being represented in a different way, in a different storyline. And just, I don't know, the shit that they're covering, I can tell that this is the big setup that they're doing for like the next phase. Yeah. It was a little bit of WandaVision. It was a little bit of Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I feel like this is like we're getting the big bad somewhere in this.
Yeah, but yeah, I've loved a lot of the new characters we met. Who knew that Owen Wilson would fit so well in the MCU?
I thought it was a very weird decision, and I can't even think of other stuff that I've seen Owen Wilson in. I don't know if
He was a Drill Bit Taylor.
I've never seen that.
Wedding Crashers.
You made me watch that once. Was that
I
him?
made you watch that?
You did. You made me watch that.
I don't think we've watched that.
Then I might be thinking of something else.
He was in You, Me, and Dupree. I didn't like that movie, but
I don't know if I've ever seen any of his movies, but I had like a general idea of what he was like as an actor. And you know what? I wasn't wrong, but he still fits. He's a really good counterpoint to Loki.
Yeah.
Because they're like snarky in different ways that I appreciate. It makes you wonder maybe if someone is a variant of somebody else.
Right. He was in Meet the Parents.
I think you made me watch
I did have you watch that because it's a great movie.
Okay.
He was in the Shanghai Nights.
No.
With Jackie Chan.
You just listing Owen Wilson's.
He was in Cars.
Okay. You know what? I saw the first Cars
Night at the
movie.
Museum. He was a cowboy.
I don't think I saw it.
You never saw Night at the Museum?
I think because the premise of it scared me. Shit coming alive at night? No, thank you.
I loved the first Night at the Museum movie. I don't think I saw the sequels.
I think watching it now would make me sad.
Well, yeah, because Robin Williams.
Yeah, and scared.
Who?
Because shit coming alive in a museum is very spooky.
Yeah, that's fair. But anyway.
But yeah, he's Owen Wilson.
But
great.
he's fantastic in the show.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just never pictured him in the MCU. But you know what? That's what I love about Marvel is that they're now branching off into these like because they're like such big properties. More and more actors are like, oh, well, this director is working on it. It makes it valid. I really want to work on that. So we're getting like fucking Christian Bale in Thor Love and Thunder. So I'm like, never would have fucking thought that.
Yeah. And also just because they're branching out into more than, it's not just like, oh, that's a superhero movie. It's like, oh, that's like a time sci-fi weird fucking thing.
Yeah.
And I think I said the same thing when Paul Rudd was brought into the MCU. I was like, that makes no fucking sense. And I mean, it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect. So the moral of the story is do not question Marvel casting decisions until you've seen it. And then you feel free to question.
Yeah. I think they've been pretty consistent with their casting.
I can't think of like anyone, you know who was cast really, really well? That one fucking asshole who played, what was it, Justin Hammer?
Sam Elliott. It's not Sam Elliott.
First of all, how fucking dare you? Sam Elliott seems so nice. I don't know. He was the asshole in Charlie's Angels, the first Charlie's Angels movie.
Girl, I'm working on it.
He was an asshole in that too. That I think was one of like the most perfect castings. I kind of wish that Iron Man 2 was a better movie for him.
Sam Rockwell.
Yes.
I have a feeling we're going to see him in Armor Wars.
I think we will too. I think that only makes sense.
I think he is going to be released from prison. And I think
maybe
he is going to be picking up right where he left off.
I think that would only make sense with how it sounds like what I imagine the show will be like.
But anyway, back to Loki.
Back to Loki.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this weird little show we've gotten so far. I think the cast is really strong. Mm-hmm. The woman who plays Hunter B-15, I love that she's playing this role because she seems like such a nice person.
She sounds that was like the first thing I think I said when we heard her. I was like, she sounds so sweet. Her voice is just like so pleasant.
And then she's like kicking ass. And like,
she's kicking ass.
All right. I love that episode 3 started out. I think it was episode 3 that started out with Holding Out for a Hero, where we saw our Loki variant enchant someone.
Yes.
And had her kick ass.
Was that 2?
It might have been 2. I think it was 2. It was 2.
Might have been 2.
It was 2. I remember.
But yeah, I love theorizing that comes along with it. I was very correct.
Oh my God. Y'all. Sorry, I have to shout Kendra out here. I'll let her talk about it. But I was kind of kicking myself because I've been so busy with, my job outside of this that I was like, I will do a stream like after X amount of episodes to just kind of recap where we are. But there was one theory that Kendra had, and we never mentioned it on any of our platforms. And holy shit, was she right? I will let you talk about that.
I'm so upset because the only person I told was John. So feel free to disbelieve me. Don't believe me if you don't want to. But it happened. Why would I lie? So it was episode 2 when that hunter had been enchanted by Sylvie, and she was like, it was all real. It was all real. And I was like, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be crazy? And again, if you hadn't seen Episode 3. Do not listen to anything I'm about to say. But wouldn't it be insane if that scenario that we saw of them in the bar together or whatever this woman was seeing, what if that wasn't fake, but a memory? What if all of these agents weren't created by the TVA, which already sounds like bullshit, that they're just are they creating them as babies, adults? Are they just brought in as it doesn't make any sense, and I never believed that. But wouldn't it be crazy if these were all like other variants who were captured and had their mind erased? God damn it. I was exactly right. It was insane.
It was so crazy. And then we just looked at each other because we're like, holy fuck, this is the one series we haven't been doing a weekly series on. And I'm just like, no one will ever believe you.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my God, it was so wild how true it wound up. So shout outs to Kendra.
So crazy. And then after I said that, we were watching like breakdown videos with like
New rock stars,
Eric Voss. And Eric Voss said it too. Eric Voss is renowned to be wrong about most of his theories. So I was like, oh shit, like if he's saying it, it probably isn't going to be true. And then it was fucking true.
Now that's not to say that we're not big fans of new rock stars.
We're huge Eric Voss fans.
That's his whole job, is to just throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks.
Right. Speaking of throwing spaghetti against the fucking wall, I'm going to throw some spaghetti today just in case I am correct about something else. I think that it is possible that Morbius is a Loki variant or a Thor variant or an Odin variant.
Mobius, because Mobius is a vampire.
Oops. Mobius M. Mobius. I think he might be a variant of somebody else. And I also think he did have a connection with jet skis in his normal Earth life, because he was very excited about them. I have a theory that Renslayer, the lady who's like, I talk to the TVA agents all the time, they tell me you suck. That bitch. I think
that bitch.
She is either running it all herself or knows that there are no real timekeepers.
Yeah.
I think the timekeepers are a front. Either they existed and then died a long time ago and they've just been like keeping up the act just to give some semblance of order. Mm-hmm. Or there were never those timekeepers to begin with. It was always like one fucking dude who's like, I think time should go my way, and had the power to kidnap people basically from alternate timelines that he deemed incorrect, wipe them, and then force them to work for him. That's, I think, my biggest theory. And I don't know who that could be. That could be Kang.
So that's what I was going to say. We know Kang is going to pop up in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to see him in this series.
Me too.
I think we're going to see him in this series first. And I think I'm not well versed enough in the comics to make this claim, but I could have sworn that Kang had some sort of wife or just like
Renslayer.
Yeah, so that's who I think this woman in this show is supposed to be.
I think so too. I just don't know in what point of that timeline we're in. Is this when they're fully in cahoots together? Does she know everything? Is this before that happens?
Yeah, I don't know.
Another theory I have is a theory I got off of TikTok. So shout out to those people on TikTok who I got this from. I don't know who they are. I think it's a relatively common theory by now, though. I think the TVA, whatever this city is in the quantum realm, and that would make a lot of sense with
why time works different. This show is providing a lot of entertainment, I would say.
We only have 2 parts left.
Yeah, there's only 2 episodes left. Now, I'm interested to see what happens in these last 2 episodes, because months and months ago it was leaked that, it's no story details, but it was leaked that there may be a second season of Loki already in the works.
Which is crazy, because there won't be a second season of WandaVision or
Falcon and Winter Soldier. There's definitely not for WandaVision. I think if they really, really wanted, they could do another season of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't know what would be the purpose.
Yeah, I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah, so I think especially because it's been literal months, so I'm talking about.
If you hadn't seen it by now, that's on you.
Especially now that Sam is officially Captain America. Woohoo! It would kind of seem like you're going backwards to just take him back to TV. Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying the show. I think Miss Minutes is a bigger part of something than we were giving her credit for.
Another theory.
Also love that Tara Strong is in the MCU.
Big part of our childhoods in the MCU. That's crazy. So even
if you don't know who she is, you know who she is.
You've heard her.
Especially if you're a millennial, you know who she is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for the last 2 episodes. I think this is one of Marvel's stronger pieces that they've put out this year.
I agree.
And how lucky are we? We still have...
What a crazy year.
We've still got Black Widow.
Shang-Chi.
What?
Shang-Chi.
We have Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man.
All this year?
All this year.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. It makes up for last year when we had
absolutely nothing. Yeah. Let us know what you guys think of Loki. You can add them in the comments here.
It's serving very much like elevated Doctor Who realness.
Yeah. Ooh. Also, before we move on from Loki, I just want to shout out. It wasn't actually a one shot, but that long, that extended, cool. Kind of one take that they did in episode 3, masterful. Yeah, it's so cool. If for no other reason, watch the series, the first 3 episodes, just to get to that part because it's so cool. Anyway, sorry, a little movie nerd moment. So, all right, well, that is Loki. We are going to move on. We have just a couple more topics to talk about. Recently, we saw Pixar's latest feature, which was released exclusively on Disney+, Luca. Yeah, this movie was overwhelmingly adorable.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to hear at first that it wasn't in premium access. I thought you had to pay extra for it.
Yeah.
But no, it's free. Well, if you have Disney+.
Yeah.
It's
no additional cost.
Yeah, no additional cost.
They did the same thing with Soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
People had an issue with that. But I think for this, it kind of made sense. It was a pared down Pixar Disney movie.
Yeah.
It felt more like an extended Pixar short.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It was like an hour and a half and it wasn't like super in depth. Like there was a lot of stuff that was just kind of like, okay, we're doing this now. And then we went and did that. But overall, it was super adorable. The animation was fantastic. It was so pretty to watch.
Yeah.
It was cool to see something based in Italy. I can't remember the last time I watched something that was based in Italy.
I also love that it was based in Italy. So, little fun fact about me, because I grew up like a drama nerd and a music nerd.
Ever since nerd a lot.
I know. I'm sorry. It's a very, very bad millennial habit.
I'm a nerd. XD.
Nerd. Rar. No, I've always been a big fan of these things, though, and even since middle school, when I started learning about like just the Roman Empire in my drama class and the different types of like theater and like coliseums and stuff, Italy's just always been something like I've kind of been obsessed with. Love Italian food. But there's a scene where we meet one of the characters' fathers, and they're, fixing up some dinner. And when we see him, he is just singing to this Italian opera. And Kendra just looks at me.
Because this is like, this big old dude. He had a mustache. He didn't have a beard, right?
Yeah, but still.
Big old eyebrows. You don't have big eyebrows.
That's me, though.
But I don't know. That's you.
If it's not me now, it's going to be me in the future.
Yeah. I had a vision.
Yeah, this movie was just so adorable. And something I appreciate about this movie is that unlike Soul, which I really, really loved.
I like Soul too.
Soul had a very big task ahead of it in terms of like exploring what the afterlife is and like the concept of life versus death and just who you are, who you're meant to be, what you should be happy with. Like that was a very clever way of introducing some really big themes to family audiences, many of whom are young children. A movie like Luca, which is a little, like you said, pared down, just, kind of focusing more on friendship and family and, doing the right thing. It's still a powerful story for kids, but just a little easier to comprehend.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story was a little bit more vague. The whole thing was about just like being different and wanting to fit in.
Yeah.
I think was like the overall theme. That applies to everything. Everyone can relate to that. And you can watch it and apply your own experience to it and be like, oh, well, this is kind of like this or that. And yeah, like you said, it wasn't as specific of like a message or a theme. It was a little bit more broad. Because of that, it was a little bit more simple story-wise.
Yeah.
But also, it wasn't lacking in any sort of like meaning.
No, and if there's any complaint I had about the movie, it would, a movie like that could have probably used a little more world building with like secondary characters.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had a very specific story they were trying to tell in a very specific amount of time.
Yeah.
That said, there were way more parts of this movie that were fucking hilarious than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Like there were moments that they're really, really funny. I'm trying not to get too specific, but there's a moment with Luca's grandmother. There's another moment with Luca's uncle. It's just so funny. And I want to give a shout out to our main 3 cast members. Jacob Tremblay, who played Luca.
Wasn't he in Room or The Room?
Yeah, he was in. I probably should have started with that.
I don't know which one it is, but that was like, I think, his huge breakout.
Yeah, he did a wonderful job as Luca.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Dylan Grazer played Alberto Scorfano. Some of y'all may recognize him from the movie Shazam, where he played Billy's best friend.
Billy's
brother, actually. His brother.
Yeah.
He was so funny in this movie.
I had no doubts going in that he was going to be funny.
I mean, he was fun. He was hilarious in Shazam.
Yeah.
But he was so funny. There's one moment where he says a bunch of stuff in Italian and
nonsensical.
I think there was like a line that maybe he just didn't say and they animated it in. I don't know, but it was so funny. And Emma Berman, who played Julia. I mean, and we had other, big names in there. We had like Maya Rudolph, Jim Gaffigan, a very hilarious cameo from Sacha Baron Cohen. But really, those 3 characters kind of make the movie. And they just did a wonderful job. It's such a fun, just really adorable movie. I can't really say much else other than it's just really, really adorable. It's so pretty to look at. It's one of those things that like they did a really good job about like making a movie like Moana makes the ocean look so beautiful and like fantastical. Whereas Luca, it makes the like living underwater, because we've seen it in like Finding Nemo and Little Mermaid and stuff, it kind of makes it look more common.
Yeah.
And then that way when they get into Italy and into the town,
that's what's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's like, whoa, it was just Italy's natural beauty. Like it's just a very charming city. Yeah. Well, country. The city they were in was charming.
I think it was definitely worth an hour and a half. If you just happen to have Disney Plus and need something to kill an hour and a half, I would say put it on. It's really, really good. I think it'd be great for like kids, younger kids. There's nothing like scary about it.
No, not at all. It's definitely an easy watch.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about having conversations like
about death,
about hell, or about feelings, like with Inside Out. That was another movie that did it well. This movie, it is definitely...
You can go there if you want, but it's not taking you there.
No, yeah. It is definitely a safer movie, and I think some critics may have felt the same way, that like, oh, it's fine, right. But I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay
with that once in a while. It doesn't all have to be like super heavy hitting, making me cry all the time.
Now that said, this movie did make me shed a few tears, but that's because I'm a huge baby and I cry at everything.
He cries at everything.
I know this movie did not get a theatrical release, nor did it get a premium access release. So when this movie eventually comes out on Blu-ray, and you do want to support the artists who worked very, very hard on this movie, I would recommend spend some of your coins on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's definitely rewatchable too.
Oh yeah. It's so enjoyable. Definitely something you can throw on.
And there's no music in it. Well, there's music, but it's not a musical.
No, it's not a musical. I do love the soundtrack though.
The soundtrack is good. Just because again, it's not like music you hear it's like very like Italian, almost sounded like retro kind of 50s, 60s Italian.
Yeah, well they play a lot of their oldies. They play a lot of, not a lot, but they play quite a bit of opera in there.
Yeah.
But that's because it's such a huge part of the culture.
Right. I don't know, it was all new. How often do you hear like Italian pop music?
Yeah, exactly.
Never.
So, and the animations in the credits.
Yeah.
That was the cherry on top. Like they didn't have to do that to give you that extra storytelling. Stay for the credits. Yeah, that was Luca. Let us know what you guys think of that. I would definitely recommend watching that. Checking that one out. All right, so we have one final story. Welcome to another edition of Revisited for the First Time.
Yes. Woo.
In our first edition, we did the Star Wars original trilogy. Mm-hmm. So we decided to keep this train going and in a galaxy far, far away. And we decided to check out the Star Wars prequel trilogy.
Yes.
And boy, do we have some feelings.
For those who don't know, I've never seen most of the Star Wars movies. I saw 2. And I don't remember either of them. So that's why we kind of started doing Star Wars for Revisited for the first time, because John has seen all of them. I was a newbie. So we did the originals. Those were fantastic. And then going into the prequels, I've heard a thing or two about the prequels in my 26 years. Yeah. Oh God, I'm 26 years old. Sorry. I just had a birthday and I'm confused. So I was expecting horse shit, poo-poo, doo-doo. And they weren't that bad.
It's an interesting trip down memory lane, and it only reaffirms that no one hates Star Wars movies more than Star Wars fans, because they just shit on it no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Growing up, you hear a lot of the jokes about how bad the prequels are. I will say, Episode 1, not a great movie.
It was okay.
It was just entirely unnecessary.
It was like boring.
It was boring. It didn't really serve any purpose to the following 2 movies other than introducing some some of the characters.
Yeah, it introduced some of the characters, but also like, especially from the first movie to the last movie, just the CG, the quality of it was like 10 times better.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It was a little rough going back and seeing it. The one thing I will say that was rightfully shit on, I would say, by everyone was Jar Jar. I hate him. I never want to hear him or see him ever again in my life. He was so annoying and unnecessary. So
yeah, I love that as the trilogy went on, we got progressively less and less Jar Jar in the mix. Yeah,
you could tell they were learning.
Yeah.
They're like, maybe people don't like this fucking annoying asshole who's just there fucking shit up.
I don't think he had any lines in episode 3.
In the third one. Thank God.
Yeah, he had a scene and a half in episode 2. But yeah, Jar Jar was just rough.
Yeah.
What I will give the episode 1 though, the pod race, it was awesome. Holds up really, really well.
I wish that was more a part of everything.
Yeah. Liam Neeson was great. I wish he had more to do in the prequels.
Yeah, I wish he didn't die in the first one.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks.
It's just because he fits the Star Wars so well.
Yeah.
They had a weird little like speed run moment. That was fucking weird. It's still weird now.
That was
because they never did it again.
It was very Twilight. There were a lot of things where just like, oh, they can do that. They never brought it up in the originals. They just kind of started doing this right now. Or they did it in one movie and then never did it again.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point of even showing us that?
So that was all buck wild. But the best thing about episode 1 was that epic lightsaber battle.
Yeah, that was cool.
With Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul.
Again, someone who was killed off in the first thing you see him in.
Now, granted, we are aware that Darth Maul has a much bigger presence in the animated series.
Oh, yeah.
So don't come at us.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the movies as they are presented.
Since we're watching them as they were released, we wouldn't have even gotten to that yet.
Yeah. So
not to say I'm going to watch that series, because that shit long. I'm watching The Bad Batch. That's as much as you're going to get from me. Sorry.
As a whole, these movies aren't as bad as people make them out to be.
Especially the second and third one, definitely. My issue with the first one is, like you said, it was just kind of like a lot of like political, like bureaucratic bullshit that I'm like, I have to listen to this in my everyday.
Right.
Like listening to the news. I don't want to go to a galaxy far, far away and fucking listen to the same bullshit.
Right.
That's part of all 3 movies because they're setting up the beginning of this crazy empire. And I think that's also interesting because there's a lot of things that, like, I don't know, just like certain things that I feel like people nowadays would also do if they could. And this is like a good warning to be like, hey, don't listen to that guy or don't do that because like, look where that ended up. It was just too much in the first movie, first prequel. But then in the second movie, that's when like the real setup began for like this story that they were telling. And then when we got to the third one, I was like, I knew what all had to be set up. I knew that at some point Padme was going to be pregnant and have twins and die. I knew that was all going to happen.
Right.
I knew at some point Anakin was going to go bad and kill a bunch of kids. I knew at some point Anakin and Palpatine both had to go through some kind of uglification process. I knew they were both nasty.
Damn, you wrong for that one.
Nasty, gross men in the original. So I was like, when is that going to happen? So there's a lot of stuff that they had to set all this stuff up in pretty much just like the third movie was when all of this had to happen. So I was going into it being like, oh, well, there's going to be a lot in this. And they did pack a lot in, but because one, it's fucking long, and 2, they had a fair amount of setup to begin with. It didn't seem overwhelming. Like, it didn't seem like one thing after another happening. Right. But yeah, I think out of all of them, the second one might still be my favorite.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know, because there's still like a fair amount of hope in it. Anakin's not like completely gone.
Yeah.
But come the third one, fuck. You know what? Come halfway through the second one, fuck Anakin. I don't understand. My friend Catherine, hello. She felt bad for Anakin at the end of the third movie. What?
Yeah, it's like
that man had murdered so many children. He murdered children and women in the second movie.
Yeah.
And then said it. He was like, I killed them all. I killed the men.
I slaughtered them like animals. Yeah.
Exactly. And then Padme was like, please put a baby in me. What? Marry me. I don't understand that. Like, And Padme for the last movie was just like, go stand in the corner and be sad and pregnant and don't do anything.
Yeah.
Which I understand because she's pregnant. But also it's like, she had so much in the first 2 movies. She was so cool and like powerful, and then just like nothing. And then the fact that in the end she died of a broken heart, she lost her will to live because her fucking dumb shit husband, who she knew was an asshole,
choked her out
and was like, I'm going full asshole Sorry. That sucks. That sucked.
Yeah, he went full starfish. So one thing I will say, I think something that could have helped these movies, if we were to travel back in time. I just think if George Lucas had an additional screenwriter, I think it would have helped, because a lot of what's rough about these movies is just some of the dialogue, especially the bureaucracy stuff, the political drama of it. It was fine for what you need in a Star Wars movie, but some of the scenes between Anakin and Padme were just a little rough to listen to.
Yeah.
I hate sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere. It's like,
okay, is that flirting? Is this flirting?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Or like, that sounds like a dictatorship, and he's just like,
I don't know. It's just like, overall, I don't know if the preconceived notion helped or hurt the movies for me.
Right.
Because they definitely weren't as bad as I was expecting, because I'd just been told how terrible they were forever. So they definitely weren't that bad. But also, it's like, I don't know. There are still so many things where I'm just like, but that's just going to be anything, especially because it was like a long time ago.
Yeah. In a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, God. I meant the films were a long time ago. I think for how young Natalie Portman specifically was in the first movie, she kind of grew into it pretty well.
Yeah.
She was kind of stiff in the first movie, but she was like 12 or whatever. I don't know. I think it's weird.
Oh, yeah. This storyline.
I still don't quite understand. So between the first movie and the second movie, there were 10 years.
Yeah.
Anakin aged 20 years and Padme aged 2 years. I don't know how that happened. It was a little weird. I just don't know how old she was supposed to be in the first one.
Well, the planet Naboo where she was living, it takes a certain amount of time to access around the sun.
Shut up. Anyway, so like that was also strange. The fact that she was just like suddenly not the queen anymore also was confusing to me.
Yeah, she
was like, she stepped down as the queen and was asked to be a senator or something, but they just like mentioned that a while after she was like senator.
There's a lot that happened that George Lucas was just like, I'm tired of writing this scene. You need to get to the next thing.
I think that's another big criticism of Star Wars as a whole, for me specifically, is that whole like, that's how they started it in the beginning, was just like, here's a screen, read this before we jump into the movie.
Right.
First of all, I don't want to read. I graduated college so I wouldn't have to read another thing ever again. I don't want to read. But also, it's just like, you can't blah, blah, blah through like months of stuff that happened. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I read it and I still don't understand it. Who are these people that you're referencing? I've never seen these names before.
Right.
I think it was made to be like, oh, you've already rewatched this 40 times. You know what's happening. This is just like another rewatch. But I didn't know what the fuck was going on. But I will say, in the third movie, the CG, which is one of the things that I thought was going to be horrendous throughout all three of them, it was really good. Wasn't bad at all. It was pretty good. Even in the first one, like, I had been hearing how horrible not puppet Yoda was for a lot of the first prequel. He was fine.
Yippee! That was another thing.
Oh God, that was another horrible thing. Who says yippee?
Oh, wait. Only because I can't let it go. It haunts my dreams. There's a fucking scene in episode 1 where the camera is a POV of C-3PO. It's so weird. It was so random. Fucking weird.
It never happened again.
Nope.
Bizarre.
And yeah, that was just bizarre. Still loved R2. Still the GOAT.
R2's one of the best parts of the
series.
Star Wars film.
Just Star Wars.
He's fantastic. He's so cute.
He started fucking flying and Kendra was like,
again, had he done that before?
No,
he just started. He forgot between those movies and.
Well, they wiped his memory. He didn't fucking remember he could do that.
Did they wipe R2's memory?
Yeah, at the very end of episode 3.
Just wiped C-3PO.
No, it was both of them.
Oh, he forgot he could fly. But yeah, I mean, as far as like setting up the beginnings of like this other 3 movies, I think it did a fine job. There are probably still holes that I don't even know of because I haven't rewatched them a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But hopefully, like through the animated series, through the Bad Batch, through the Obi-Wan series, maybe there'll be a little bit more connective tissue between those movies.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see what they, especially the Obi-Wan series. That's going to be 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith.
It's like right in the middle of the.
But it's going to be before Rogue One.
Right.
So it'll be cool. I'm glad we're going to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen back. Just because regardless of what anyone may feel about Hayden Christensen's performance in certain scenes or whatever, overall
fine.
He did a really good job as Anakin.
Yeah.
Just kind of drawing that real darkness that's in him.
The asshole, shitty assholeness was great.
And Ewan McGregor really had this just like fatherly presence toward him.
He was great.
And man, I'm not gonna lie, that scene toward the end of episode 3 with Obi-Wan and Anakin, I told Kendra, I was like, man, men cried in this scene, and she just looks and goes, "Were you men?" And I was
because
like,
it's
no
not
comment.
out of character. But yeah, the one person I felt bad for by the end of it was
Obi-Wan.
And he was the only person who didn't actually
he
was a murderer or fucked a murderer.
And he did not want to hurt Anakin. He didn't want to kill him. He was trying to tell Anakin. He said don't try it. He's
didn't
like,
he say that he's like, you were like my brother, I loved you?
Yeah, he was like, you were my brother, I loved you. And it was like,
fuck.
And it sucks because we were talking about it a little after. It's like that was a big moment for Obi-Wan to admit that, because Jedi, they're not supposed to love anyone in really anyway.
Yeah.
But they very clearly had a connection. You know, in episode 2, Anakin was like, "You're the closest thing I've ever had to a father."
Yeah.
So it kind of sucked to see that their relationship degrading over time.
Yeah.
But I mean that's some good storytelling, and I'm excited to see the Obi-Wan series.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have to be dead to have a Force ghost?
Oh boy, she's asking a good question.
Because I'm thinking, because we both said that we weren't sure in what way Hayden Christensen would appear in the Obi-Wan movies. If he can project a Force ghost to speak to people, could it still be his young, hot face?
There are 2 answers. The first one is I don't know.
Cool.
Well, I don't know how they would do that. But the second answer is in the sequel trilogy, which is what we're going to watch next, they kind of toy with a little bit of what you're getting at.
Okay.
So I can't really answer without it being a spoiler.
Then I will wait patiently. But that's
it's not exactly what you're describing, but
okay.
it's similar enough to where if I explained it, it's going to be a little bit of a spoiler.
Okay.
So those are my 2 answers.
Okay. I mean, that pacified me. But that's the only thing I thought of. Because if we were discussing, is he going to come back all burnt up? Is he going to come back in a mask?
I figured he'd be in the Darth Vader suit.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if we'll ever see him without his helmet.
Yeah.
Or
I'm also curious to see
if it'll be like a Mandalorian situation where there's a scene or 2 without his helmet on.
Yeah. Oops, spoilers for season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian.
Man, if you haven't watched Mando, man, that's on y'all. That's a good show.
My husband, Pedro Pascal, in The Mandalorian. Quite frankly, you're not supporting me the way that you should. Call yourself a fan.
But yeah, overall, really, really enjoyed revisiting these. The next time, I might just skip episode 1.
Yeah, I can see now why people skip it.
But it sucks because
if you know it,
the fucking lightsaber battle is so cool.
Just skip to the end.
And also we got, on a music standpoint, we got Duel of the Fates, which is one of the best Star Wars songs.
What is that? Okay, yeah.
Badass.
I had a McDonald's Darth Maul pocket watch that when you opened it, it was like his face on the outside, but when you opened it, it had the time and it played that song.
Hell yeah.
Thought it was cool. Never saw the movie though. Never saw the movie.
But now you have, and now you know.
Now I have.
We're going to do the sequel trilogy next, and somewhere in between those, we're going to check out the Rogue One and Solo. Fun fact, that's the one Star Wars movie I've not watched.
So that'll just be visited for the first time.
Well, yeah, we'll include it, but that'll be a visited for the first time for both of us.
Yeah, Bad Batch makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, and it was cool kind of seeing, well, first off, it was fucking sad seeing Order 66.
Yeah.
But it's cool how much that we see it come into play in Bad Batch.
Yeah,
because we see
pretty much exactly what they showed in the movie.
In the opening episode of Bad Batch, that's the actual audio from the movie.
Oh wow!
Of the Palpatine speech and yeah. So that's pretty cool that they added that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. I always come back to this. Enough time will pass where something becomes good through nostalgia,
right?
Or meaningful through nostalgia.
And also other properties or their storylines, whatever, boost what was originally done.
It retroactively makes it better.
Exactly.
So, and hearing just the one line of Palpatine saying deactivate all the fucking droid armies because we don't want them, and then when we watch Bad Batch and we see them all getting smelted. Yeah, it's just a cool little added detail. Oh, this is where this fits in. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So yeah, that was revisited for the first time, the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Let us know if y'all revisit those and what your thoughts on any one of those episodes are. Yeah. Like I said, we're gonna watch the sequels next, as well as some of the Star Wars stories. Until next time.
See ya.
Peace.
Bye.